Aldous Huxley's Brave New World, published in 1932, is a dystopian novel that explores a futuristic society driven by technological advancements, consumerism, and state-imposed stability. The story is set in the world state, where the government maintains order by eliminating emotional depth, individuality, and the concept of family. Citizens are engineered through artificial reproduction and conditioned from birth to accept their predetermined social roles, ensuring social harmony and eliminating conflict. The novel introduces the reader to the world state's caste system, which consists of 5 classes: alphas, betas, gammas, deltas, and epsilons. Alphas, the intellectual elite, hold leadership positions, while epsilons, the lowest caste, perform menial labor. Every citizen is conditioned to accept their status without question, using hypnopedic sleep teaching, indoctrination, and repetitive slogans like "everyone belongs to everyone else" to reinforce compliance. One of the main characters, Bernard Marx, is an alpha who feels alienated due to his physical and emotional differences. Unlike his peers, Bernard is introspective and questions society's shallow pleasures. He resents his lack of physical perfection, which diminishes his status among other alphas, and he feels uneasy about the lack of genuine emotions in personal relationships. He becomes intrigued by Lenina Crown, a beta worker who embodies the world state's values of promiscuity and hedonism. Although Lenina enjoys Bernard's attention, she finds his unconventional thoughts unsettling. Seeking to validate his worth, Bernard arranges a visit to the Savage Reservation, a place where people live outside the influence of the world state. Unlike the controlled perfection of the world state, the reservation is a place of natural birth, aging, disease, and religious rituals. Here, Bernard and Lenina meet John, often referred to as the Savage. John is the son of a world state citizen, Linda, who was abandoned on the reservation years ago after becoming pregnant, an unspeakable disgrace in the world state. Raised among the indigenous people, John develops a worldview shaped by Shakespeare's works, particularly The Tempest, which instills in him ideals of love, honor, and suffering that starkly contrast with the shallow culture of the world state. Bernard sees an opportunity to use John as a means to gain social standing and secures permission to bring him and Linda back to the world state. Upon their return, John becomes an object of fascination and controversy. The citizens of the world state are intrigued by his unusual upbringing and emotional depth. He is treated as a spectacle, paraded around as an exotic curiosity rather than accepted as an individual. Meanwhile, Linda, devastated by her rejection in both worlds, numbs herself with an overdose of soma, the government-provided drug that suppresses negative feelings. Her death, shortly after returning, further fuels John's disillusionment and grief. John's horror at the world state deepens as he observes its lack of meaningful relationships, emotional repression, and complete dependence on soma to maintain a pacified population. His struggle to reconcile his beliefs with the world state's values creates tension, particularly with Mustafa Mond, one of the 10 world controllers. In a pivotal philosophical debate, Mond argues that stability and happiness are preferable to intellectual freedom and emotional depth, insisting that suffering and struggle are obsolete in a world perfected by science and conditioning. John's grief and outrage lead him to rebel against the system. In a desperate act of defiance, he disrupts a soma distribution center, urging the citizens to reject the drug and embrace real human experiences. However, his efforts fail, as the people are too profoundly conditioned to question their way of life. The riot is quickly subdued, and Bernard, who had hoped to ride John's fame to greater social acceptance, is instead disgraced and exiled to an island, along with his friend Helmholtz Watson. This writer also harbors unorthodox ideas. John, left alone and disillusioned, retreats to a remote lighthouse where he tries to purify himself through self-discipline, self-flagellation, and physical suffering in an attempt to cleanse himself of the corrupting influence of the world state. However, his solitude is short-lived as reporters, thrill-seekers, and curious onlookers relentlessly intrude on his existence, turning his suffering into yet another form of entertainment. Unable to escape the intrusive attention and the relentless pull of the society he despises, John ultimately succumbs to despair and takes his own life, leaving behind the grim reality of a world where true freedom and meaning no longer exist. Commentary: Brave New World is a profound critique of a society that prioritizes stability, pleasure, and conformity over individuality, emotional depth, and intellectual freedom. Huxley warns against the dangers of a world where technological advancements and consumerism suppress critical thought and authentic human connections. Unlike other dystopian works that emphasize oppressive regimes through fear and violence, Huxley's vision presents a subtler but equally insidious form of control, one where people willingly accept their subjugation. The novel remains relevant in discussions about the impact of mass media, pharmaceuticals, and the pursuit of superficial happiness. It questions whether a society devoid of pain and struggle can truly foster a meaningful existence. By contrasting the shallow existence of the world state with John's tragic yearning for deeper truths, Brave New World challenges readers to reflect on the cost of sacrificing freedom for comfort and stability.